Welcome back to Podcasting for Planners. In this chapter, we're going to be talking about the hardware in order to record your audio. Before we do that, though, we should first understand the different types of sound file formats that exist in the world so that you know what kind of recording you should do. We have four main types: WAV files, AFF files, MP3 files, and M4A files. Just so you know, these sound file formats are how we hear everything in our digital world, from music to ringtones to recordings. It's all in these more or less four formats. So first off, WAV formats. This stands for Waveform Audio File Format. WAV formats are uncompressed, meaning that there's no sort of digital alteration, and it's the first digital copy of the recording. These files are at a very high quality, however, they're also really big file formats, and they're best for broadcast quality. The second file type is called AFF, which stands for Audio Interchange File Format. And you can kind of think of AFF files as the WAV file equivalent for Apple's. Apple basically got a trademark for AFF files. However, any sort of operating system these days recognizes AFF files and can work with them as well. AFF files are at a very high broadcasting quality, and like WAV files, they're unaltered, uncompressed digital files. Another category of files are MP3s. Now, MP3s came about during the rise of the internet when people realized they wanted to share files with one another, and in order to do so, they needed to have smaller audio files, as WAV files were too big to share. So MP3 files are lossily encoded, and this means that there are a set of complex algorithms that are run along the sound file to take out some of the data from the first original recording. This means that the sound that you're listening to is actually missing some of the data that was originally recorded into it. So this means it's actually at a lower quality than the WAV files and AFF files. However, it's perfect for internet sharing because it's a much smaller file size. Now, M4A files are the next generation of MP3 files. So they're also lossily encoded. This is the fancy way of saying that some of the data has been stripped of it in order to make it a smaller file format. Now, don't be afraid of MP3s and M4As. When you listen to them, they'll sound exactly the same to our ears as WAV file formats or AFFs. However, there's a huge difference when you hear it over radio or some other dissemination channel like that. Therefore, the best way of thinking about it is depending on whichever dissemination channel you're using, be it radio or internet, that is going to indicate which sound file format you're going to want to use. So for internet sharing, make sure to use MP3s and M4As, and for radio quality, if that's what you require, make sure to use WAV file formats or AFF file formats. So with that in mind, let's go now into the different hardware types that we're going to be using. The main factors to decide which kind of hardware you want to use are threefold. The first is you want to consider the purpose of your recording, whether or not you're using the recording to transcribe or as an interview or as something that you want to disseminate to a larger public. Next, you're going to want to think of your dissemination channel as well. Does it have to be at a very high quality and for it to go on the radio, or is this something that you're just going to share amongst yourself and your friends for your own general knowledge? And finally, the most important one, of course, is budget. How much money are you willing to spend on your device? So with that in mind, let's first go into the low-end recording device. Most phones are equipped with a voice recording application. It's built into the phone. Even now, newer phones, which aren't necessarily internet phones or smartphones, as some people call them, have these capabilities built into them. So I'll demonstrate with the phone that I have. And here, you go to the home screen and you can choose the voice recorder application. This one has a nice microphone on it, so you know that it's going to start voice recording. In order to start recording, you press the record button. Generally, you can tell that it's recording as the timer moves, and here you can see that the audio levels are also fluctuating. To stop the recording, press either the pause button if you just want to have a momentary pause and you plan to continue the recording, or you can press the stop button if you're done. In this case, I press stop. A lot of times you'll find these files are available in your saved files right here. So this is titled under Voice 001, and you're able to rename these kinds of files if you'd like. Now, these kinds of low-end smartphone applications generally record at a pretty low quality of sound and either in M4A or MP3 file format. They have a decent microphone, and you can always add on an additional microphone if you want to up the quality of your recording. These are great for internal uses or for your own personal transcription uses if there's an event that you'd like to take notes from. Moving on, at the mid-end, we have the Tascam DR05. It's about $100 these days. What's really cool about the Tascam is that it has bidirectional recording, so you can hear sound from either end and have it be channel specific, so you can only hear it either on your left speaker or your right speaker. To turn on the Tascam, press the on button. Hold it down a little bit, and it should light up like so. In order to start recording, you're going to have to press record twice. This always trips me up too. But that way you know it's starting. So press it once and again. And you can tell it's recording because the record button is flashing and the timer is rolling. Now the Tascam DR5 actually has a great range of recording. You can record at a variety of different qualities, ranging from 8-bit WAV file formats all the way to the highest quality of MP3 file formats. So consider what kind of dissemination channel you're using, and then that will inform which kind of file format you want to record on. In order to stop the recording, press the stop button. Pretty simple, right? And the DR05 is very easy to get onto your computer. Just plug it in with a USB in order to transfer the files. And for our high-end recording device, we're going to be looking at the Marantz PMD620 MK2. You know a recording device is great if it has a lot of numbers and letters after it. This one is about $400 and is the standard recording device in most newsrooms across the country. The Marantz is really cool because it allows you to have direct inputs such as your headphones, your microphone, and any sort of other recording device that you're going to be using that some of these other devices don't allow you to. So, to power it on, you slide up the power button, and there's a nice little animation that runs as well. And to record, you just hit record like this. And you know it's recording because the lights are blinking here, and these large numbers and timer is coming off. This one's really helpful, especially because the numbers are super easy to read, and they're very large as well, perfect for jotting down notes in the middle of a recording. To stop it, just press the stop button right here. And just like that, you're done. And again, you can connect it to a computer through a USB cable in order to get the files onto your computer. Now the Marantz PMD620 can record at a variety of different formats, like the Tascam as well, both WAV file formats, MP3s, M4As, you name it, at a variety of different qualities. However, the Marantz is very expensive, and so unless you're going to be using it in order to put something on the radio, I wouldn't recommend using it as your main recording device. Now sometimes you're going to be recording something and you're not going to be in person. You have to do it over Skype or through a phone call with someone that is far away. Now Skype and phones generally compress audio, meaning that it's at a lower quality than it is in person when we're speaking with one another and you're recording it. So in order to alleviate this, make sure that whenever you're recording something through Skype, you have a high internet connection and a stable one as well. You're using a high quality audio recorder, and the person is making sure to speak loudly and clearly. Sometimes there's no way to alleviate the distortion that happens through Skype, and you might just have to bite the bullet on it. So here in this chapter, we heard about the different audio file formats, and we took a look at a few different recording devices. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about how we optimize our sound through interview tips and tricks.